Marcell Strbich. Say it right? Okay. All right. He is an Air Force retiree also. I found out a lot of his family is from Franklin County. And I'm going to let him talk about himself because he knows himself better than I know him. So, Marcell, here you go.
All right. It's our town. I don't know if Bernie heard that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's interesting. Always being on the front of something or something that's about to happen. I think that's an interesting phenomenon for us when we see something that needs to be done and nobody's doing it, and we wonder, well, what's it going to take? What do we have to do? That's kind of what I envisioned or I had to happen to me and how I ended up in Ohio. So thank you for hosting me tonight, Dennis, with this great group. I couldn't be in a better place with the weather, just the ambiance. It's intimate. We've got nice food here, so enjoy this. I'm going to give you an understanding of what we're working on here in Ohio, what we want to do for our election systems tonight. You're going to have a better sense of who I am, what I'm capable of, what I would do as your Secretary of State. But what I really hope you take away from tonight is you know a little bit about me, who I am as a character, as a person, right? Because who represents you is the reflection in government of what you want in your government. And that's still a fundamental American value and tradition. Choosing your elected government and ensuring that they're serving you. So I grew up in a family of immigrants in Chicago. My family came in 1970 to this country. It's no different from many people seeking opportunity and seeking to get away from repression and those type of things. And what I will tell you is, from the moment that I could stand over a counter, like in a restaurant like this, I had to serve people, I had to give coffee, and walk up to strangers. And I'll tell you, it's a great experience to have as a child, even though it seems somewhat awkward, but those are life skills. Those are life skills that I took because each and every person you meet, a stranger, you have to know who that person is and what they need in that moment. So I've always been oriented toward people, but I didn't know how I would channel that orientation toward people. So growing up youngest, I had an older brother, and my brother went into the Air Force. And that time frame in our country was relatively stable up until 2001. And then everybody kind of relooked at the entire paradigm. We were kind of all cruising through the 90s. And all these national security issues, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, with bin Laden and others came up. And now this country was in question in terms of, are we truly safe? And then, as you know, federal government took on new powers, the Patriot Act. We fundamentally started changing. The 1980s, growing up in the 80s and the 90s, communities knowing each other, keeping your doors open. I was just having a good conversation with Vicki, Leslie, and Ben, thank you. I was just having a good conversation with you about the changes that were happening and how we've kind of come. And that's just what happens. It never stays the same. So I joined that Air Force in 2004. I went to Indiana University. I commissioned as an officer. I was advised by a family friend who my mother came into the work for, and that was a great decision I made. Albeit, as a young person, I didn't know what was going to happen, where we were going to go. I had no idea we'd be fighting 20 years of forever-ending wars, right? Because at that time, it was like Republicans and Democrats were all on board to get us involved in open-ended conflicts and, send the military, okay, great. But I went right away and got sent to Iraq. And I was supporting ground forces who were getting hit with improvised explosive devices. And that was a very impactful and a lot of responsibility because the calls that I made on the aircraft with the crew make a difference in terms of do they get the mission combat support intelligence they need to avoid that. So that experience melded in me the importance of the work that the military does. It's a life and death kind of mission. And mission is the key word I want you to take away because as anybody who knows who served, that's what a warfighter is built around mission. So it's not you, it's about something greater than yourself. So I would end up rising through the ranks of the Air Force and get different assignments. I'd go to Europe. I'd always get an assignment, usually one level higher in grade. And that was something that I was able to effectively do well, and with good performance. The military's merit-based, which is what we should have for our elections, right? We'll talk about elections in a moment. But when you do that, you rise in rank. Now you're able to be more effective in terms of getting more responsibilities. So after I went in Europe, they moved me to Ohio. That's where I met my wife from Delaware County. And that was one of the best things that could have happened to me. I was about to go into the FBI.
Oh.
And I would have worked for Jim Comey. So that was saved myself from that. Right, Bill? You have a thought on that? Right. So that was a good move. And I would spend the next 10 years with my wife going to different austere locations, supporting special operation forces. So I started to work in that community, which, you know, it was very impactful. And I got to see what it's like when you have to do a video standing out in a base. Is the last video that people see of their loved ones is you in formation. So I'm not trying to bring the mood down. I just want you to understand this is the kind of background that I come from and why I am loving life post-military, because I experienced that for 2 decades and now I have normalcy. So normalcy brought me back to Ohio. And I started to get involved in groups like this in Montgomery County. And groups like this, I believe, are blood of our system and our democracy, because we're watchdogs. We are making sure that people are doing what they're supposed to do, that they're accountable to us. And I saw some things in my county which called me to question whether election systems were truly being dealt with in the way that they were supposed to. We had